Welcome back to Chris Greenhill's Garage. I'm Chris. Not with me today is Chris Jr. I am back in the Jeep. This freaking thing is turning out to be worse than an aircraft. For every hour it's being used, it needs 2 hours of maintenance. I have some serious regrets about buying this thing. I'm supposed to be working on Project White Trash, my 1988 Ford Mustang GT. You know, the one that hasn't run in 26 years. And apparently is never going to run again. Because I can't work on ever. I'm praying that this is a YouTube short length video. Hopefully, I can just put this thing back together here in a few minutes. Doubtful. No chance in hell. But I'm hopeful. Not sure if you can hear that, but that is the current situation. We've got a dead hole somewhere. The check engine light is on, and if you give it gas and drive it, it starts flashing. Here's the engine doing the shimmy and the shake. It sounds like an exhaust leak, but I think it's just a dead cylinder. I turned it off before it shook itself to death. My daughter called me the other day in the middle of my 14 or 15 days working in a row. Said, "Dad, my Jeep's barely moving. It's not accelerating. The check engine light's flashing and it's making this noise." And she sent me some video. It wasn't good. She had to pull over, call our insurance company, and have it towed home. She ran the code scanner on it, got a bunch of codes. Most of them were cylinder misfires. So I just took a shot in the dark and ordered a new ignition coil. And here we are a week later. I also forgot that I never put new spark plugs in this thing. Once I discovered it had broken spark plug wires, I put new wires on it and it seemed fine, so I never dealt with it again. Guess I'm going to do that today. Dear God, this definitely is not going to be a YouTube short. Can't even get to the spark plugs. Oh, I am joined by Max Adventure Cat. This is my daughter's kitten who rides with her everywhere in her Jeep. His name is Max. He rides on her shoulder, rides in the car. He goes everywhere like a dog. So he is Max Adventure Cat. I'm going to go ahead and swap out the coil and hope that solves 99% of our problems. Engineers, this is why the world hates you. There's no reason I should have to fight this thing to get it off. This should take 1 second. The hardest freaking part of this project was trying to get that little red clip out of there. I don't know how old this was. I'm not sure if I've replaced it before because I have worked on the Jeep when I was not putting it on video. But this part, the part that wasn't exposed to mud and dirt, looks pretty new. Please magically fix all of my problems. That did not fix my problems at all. It's not good. No change whatsoever. That's really, really bad. That's not good. That is going to be the ignition, the general ignition misfire. This is the bad one. That's the one that worries me. Can't remember what that one is. That's just a repeat again. 2305 is the bad one. This one says it's a bad EGR valve. One of the main causes of that P2305 misfire code is faulty spark plugs and spark plug wires. So I don't have a lot of time today, but I'm going to go ahead and try to change out these 3 spark plugs today. See if it makes any difference. If not, I'll have to come back and do the other 3 tomorrow. Starting to remember why I didn't do spark plugs before. That one might be rusted into the head. I cannot get it to budge. I'm kind of thinking when I changed the wires, it was running fine, so I just decided it was good enough for then. and I'd come back and do it some other day. And that is coming back to haunt me. You should never need a cheater bar for a spark plug, especially on something that was running and driving a couple of days ago. This is all bad. The gear on my wrench just stripped out trying to back this out. Look, you put pressure on it, or it didn't. Never mind, what is going on? Yep, wrench stripped out. It's just, yep, it's just clicking backwards instead of applying pressure to the spark plug. Finally got the first one out. No real smoking gun. It's not as destroyed as I thought it was going to be the way it's running, but I mean, it's a little old. Nothing major. I absolutely hate these ridiculously long spark plugs. They keep stealing my spark plug socket. I can't get the freaking socket off of them once I install them. Next spark plug. Number 3. Or at least the third one on this side. I don't know the cylinder numbers. I don't even know what this engine is. I got all 3 plugs over here swapped out. I inspected the wires over here. Everything looked good on this side. Of course, with modern spark plug wires, that doesn't really mean anything. Any chance that magically fixed things so I can go on with living the rest of my life? Nope, not at all. Actually, ever so slightly better. Nope, there we go. Still the same. Good times. I've just realized you cannot get to the fuel injectors without removing the intake manifold. They are down in there. So I can't just pull a fuel injector wire and see if a fuel injector is misfiring. This is insane. I hate this thing. My next idea was just to run the truck, let it all heat up, and then use my heat sensor to see if we had a dead cylinder. But somebody stole the AAA batteries out of it. Along with every AAA battery in the house, we have exactly 0. So I have to go and buy those, which means I'm not going to get to this today. So I am done. It's the next day. I finally have batteries for my heat sensor. Time to start the Jeep up and see which cylinder is dead, if it's just one of them or not. It did not magically heal itself overnight. Shocking. Still running like pure trash. That really sounds like an exhaust leak. Really sounds like an exhaust leak. I mean, it sounds a lot like a dead hole, but I think it's either a huge exhaust leak or one of our cylinders is just completely cooked. All right, so it's only been idling a moment, but already the back cylinder, the middle cylinder, the front cylinder. The front cylinder is not firing for some reason. Let's go check the other 2. Or other 3 or whatever. That's firing. That's firing. Oh, there's heat shielding over here. That is not firing at all. We have 2 dead holes. On top of everything else, I really thought we may have had main bearings squeaking or something, or rod bearings, but the squeak was just the belt. Put a little belt dressing, aka lube, on it, and it's quiet again. So it won't take any throttle input. Wide open throttle, it stops like this. Before going any further, I'm gonna go ahead and swap in this old coil that was working just fine, and just put it back on and return that one for money. The old coil is back on. I have discovered something. The tailpipe is surging badly. You can hear that. Tick, 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 tick. It's chugging. And check this out. There's a major exhaust leak coming from this header right here that wasn't there a few days ago, right where the catalytic converter bolts on. I am thinking the catalytic converter is completely clogged up. Got quite a few different symptoms going on all at once here. I think I'm gonna let it completely cool off, and then I'm gonna drop the exhaust and see if it runs any better through open headers, see if it'll rev up. Maybe the cats are clogged. If that doesn't do anything, I'll have to look elsewhere. Dropping the exhaust should also eliminate the EGR valve if it's giving us a trouble, because it is from there back down in there somewhere. I absolutely cannot reach that bolt. I've tried swivels, I've tried everything from underneath, from up top. I just can't reach it. My buddy talked me down off the ledge, told me it's probably not the catalytic converters. So instead of yanking the exhaust and dropping it, I just decided to tighten it up. Got rid of a big percentage of the exhaust leak, not all of it. Did not help the engine run any better. Absolutely crazy, but it's easier to get to the spark plugs down here than it is from up there. So I'm gonna go ahead and swap out these last three while I'm here. Got the first spark plug out. Just noticed there's a massive oil leak back here somewhere. Hoping that's just the valve covers. It's possible that oil leak has fouled out the EGR, or I don't think the EGR can cause the oil leak, but it's kind of odd that the EGR is right there and there's a giant oil leak. To get the exhaust pipe or the EGR pipe off the EGR valve, it's two 8mm bolts. I used extensions. These are 10 millimeters, and I'm gonna have to use a hand wrench just to get in there. I have run into quite the snag. The only wrenches I own that can get in there to these 10mm bolts are little hand wrenches, which I can't get any torque on, or a small socket, which I also can't get any torque on, and it's starting to round the bolt. Despite all that oil, it is seized in there. What a terrible design. This pipe back here keeps you from getting a wrench in here, so I was able to break this loose with a wrench socket. But now I have to turn it by hand or use a hand wrench to back this out, because this is directly behind it. What a nightmare. You can't even see this bolt over here. I can barely feel it. There's no way to get a visual on it at all. We have to use a hand wrench and hope for the best. I really don't know what to do. I've tried everything. No socket will fit here. Tried the double wrench technique. It's just rounding this bolt. I've tried lubing it, but I can't get anything on it that'll sit to allow me to pull that bolt out, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do. This has taken an extremely long amount of time. I'm hoping that by taping these two wrenches together, I can get enough torque on it to get this thing out. And now that bolt back there has just rounded completely. I don't know what to do. I don't own anything that can fit back there. It is hours later. I finally got that bolt off, got the EGR valve loose. Now I've got to figure out some way to get in there and disconnect the wiring harness from it. I do not care if this thing is the problem or not. When I put the new one in, it is not leaving. I'm not returning it. This is a nightmare. It is in there. It is installed. It's as good as I can get it. Now let's start it up, see if it made any difference. No. That's wide open throttle. Absolutely no difference at all. It was not the EGR valve. Good times. The good news is the EGR valve isn't leaking anywhere. Bad news is it just didn't help anything. So I guess the old EGR valve was okay. And apparently we do have an exhaust leak over here somewhere. Good times. So after all this hell, check that out. That is cylinder number, I don't even know. The middle one up front, number 4. Number 2 is running ice cold. When I do this with number 2, nothing happens. And right after I say that, the number 2 plug wire comes apart. Doubt that's coincidence. I threw one of the old plug wires on number 2. Let's see if it's any better. No, it is not. Let's see if number 2 fires. Nope, number 2 does not fire at all. I don't understand. It just had a brand new ignition coil. This is getting insane. I just found number 6 with a broken plug wire. What is going on with these brand new plug wires? Will our third coil fix this? Is it possible our other new coil was a dud? I don't know, but we've had the same symptoms on 2 different coils. I'm not holding my breath that this third one will work. Will there be any change? Nope. Runs exactly the same. That is beyond bizarre. How can this be? The front coil with a new wire, number 2, still does not have any spark coming out of it at all. How is that possible with a new coil? Number 4, firing like a rock star again. Change spark plug wires. Number 2 is still completely dead. All the others are firing. I do not get it. Now we're getting somewhere. All right, this is cylinder number 5. Number 2 and number 5 are completely dead. The others are working. That makes a lot of sense. With those 2 cylinders in particular misfiring, that means one of these wires back here is cooked, has come disconnected or something. I'm probably going to need a new piggyback harness for the ignition coil. I finally found some stuff online that talks about this stuff, and apparently the 4 wires in the back of this thing, one is power and the other 3 each control one of the cylinder banks. 2 and 5 are together and 2 and 5 are dead. So that means it's something in that wiring harness back there. Finally making progress. Well, that's something to look into next time. I'm about out of daylight and I've got to go. I'll be back in a few days. Hopefully mess with that wiring harness. It's a few days later. I have a new harness piggyback for this thing to try. I've got to figure out how to get to it. It is way down there behind the upper intake manifold somewhere. I'm sure hoping I don't have to take off the upper manifold to change this out. After a whole lot of digging, I found that that this piggyback hooks into this main harness way back there that runs behind the engine, down by the transmission, and under the intake manifold. I found where it connects, but I absolutely can't even come close to reaching it. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do here. It's time to do the inevitable, what I have always known I had to do but didn't want to do. I've got to pull the entire upper intake manifold off to get to the back of those wires. I've tried everything else. I've read, I've watched videos. There's no option. There's just no way to get to that. The harness can't be pulled out, so I've got to take the intake manifold off just to reach it. Intake manifold is off. If you're wondering, you just have to disconnect the throttle body stuff. 2 8mm bolts to get the EGR valve out the top, our good old buddy, the EGR valve, which has to be bent out of the way. 8 10mm bolts. Disconnect the sensor. This 10mm bolt back here is a pain. They mounted the fuel rails on top of it as well as part of the wiring harness. So you have to get pretty creative back here to get to that bolt. I think I'm going to need new intake gaskets. These are pretty rough and pretty oily. I think they've been leaking. Great. Nobody locally anyway, sells just the upper intake manifold gaskets. You got to buy the whole kit. I guess I'll see if I can make them last a little while longer. Finally got access to the origins of this cable. Still can't reach it even with the intake manifold off. But I've run into a problem. I power probed this thing, and with the key on, I'm getting no power anywhere in it. Although I know it just ran yesterday, so I'm not sure what the deal is with that. I've power probed it every way possible, and I'm not getting any electrical signal. I'm also having trouble figuring out which of the 4 wires could be the troubled wire that's not firing properly. And I guess the only way to figure that out is to try to probe it while it's starting, but I don't want fuel spraying down in the intake, etc., etc., etc. Well, this is lovely. I hadn't looked yet, but our new kit comes disassembled, so we've got to fit all this ourselves. The thing is, none of the wires that come in the factory harness are just orange and just blue. They are all multicolored with stripes. Looks like I've got 1 orange and 1 blue, each with different stripes. Then I've got a couple other colors. Great. Yeah, we have blue and orange stripe, orange with a white stripe, blue with a green stripe and blue with a white stripe. Oh man, you gotta be freaking kidding me. And I can't figure out online which wire is the bad wire. And I can't probe it. So I don't know what I'm supposed to do here other than just cut everything apart and rewire it. But I don't know how far down to cut the wire because I don't know where the break in the wire is or if it's just this piggyback. The best I can tell, the factory piggyback is blue, orange, blue, blue. But again, that's blue and white and blue and green and orange with a blue stripe and blue with an orange stripe, and this is as good as I can get. I don't know. Here's a close-up of what came out of the Jeep on the left versus what I'm putting in the Jeep on the right. I have looked and looked and looked. I cannot find a wiring diagram for this thing with the single coil. Apparently some engines in Jeeps around this model year came with coil on pack, individual coils per cylinder. This one does not. I cannot find a wiring diagram for this wiring harness anywhere. At least not one for free. There are several that you can pay for that may or may not work, but I'm not doing that. All the old one's out, cut out, and the new one is in. I just took it one wire at a time, clipped the old wire, stripped it, spliced in the new one. I'm not fond of these splicers that came with this kit. They're actually oversized for these wires, but I think I have a good connection on all of them. And I hope this is gonna work. If not, you might see a grown man cry on camera. I tried power probing the new wire harness and it doesn't have power either. At least it's consistent. I guess none of this gets power except under cranking. Can't exactly crank it without the manifold on it without causing problems. Anyway, I'm out of time today. I'm gonna come back tomorrow to put it back together. It's the next day. Really having some regrets about not being able to finish this yesterday. It dropped 30 degrees overnight and I'm freezing to death. Just did the world's crappiest tape job on this harness because I can't feel my hands. And now I need to get the intake back on. Here's a little bit of the wiring nightmare that goes underneath the intake manifold. Such horrible engineering. Hands are frozen, tools are frozen. Making this brutally hard, but it is back together. Back passenger bolt was just as much fun to put back in as it was to take out. This is brutally difficult to get to go back into position, especially when it's just two little screws threaded into plastic. But it's all back together. I think it's ready to fire up. All that really matters is whether number 2 and 5 are going to fire. Let's find out. No, they're not firing. All of this was for naught. I can't believe this. This is super weird. Cylinder 2 and 5 are dead once again, same as they've been, but it runs the best when they're disconnected. Here just a moment ago, this thing was barely turning on, barely starting, and now it's running like it's only missing one cylinder. Really weird. Just to be certain, I pulled every spark plug wire again and confirmed that 4 cylinders are getting really good spark and 2 and 5 are dead. But it is objectively running worse than it ever has. I'm not sure why. I've checked everything. I've double checked everything. I don't think I even have an exhaust manifold leak. I hooked everything back up. I don't know what's going on with it. I'm about to the point where I may have to just take it somewhere and drop it off and have them worry about it. This is the current state, same as it was. 4 out of 6 cylinders, shaking and missing, and it is objectively worse. It cannot take any throttle input at all. It is definitely worse than it was the other day. I've got to go back and triple check all my work and see what I screwed up. The good news is the new wiring harness I put in still got 4 of 6 cylinders. I mean, it didn't fix the missing cylinders, but that didn't make it any worse because those 4 cylinders are still firing. But it is definitely running worse than it was. I got to triple check everything. I sprayed brake clean all around the intake manifold, all around everywhere as much as I could. I couldn't find any signs of any kind of intake manifold gasket leak or anything. So at least I can take a little bit of pride in that. I don't think I screwed that part up. That's it. I'm defeated. I'm done. I'm going to arrange to have this thing towed to a Jeep shop about 3 or 4 miles away, and I guess I'll let you know how that goes later. There goes the Jeep on the back of a tow truck, one of my greatest failures. The Jeep was doing the thing again where it wouldn't register shifting gears. It said it was in neutral at all times despite it clearly being in park. So that was a problem here a couple of months back. No idea what's wrong with it. Didn't have enough power to pull out of the parking space. We had to push it over to the tow truck. So I don't know what's wrong with that thing, but at this point I'm kind of hoping that maybe the tow truck crashes with the Jeep on it. No injuries, of course, just kind of hoping the Jeep goes away. There goes the Jeep on what I suspect will be one hell of an expensive trip, but I don't have a choice. I do not have the time during the months of November, December to fix it. It is mid-January 2026, and I am picking up the Jeep from our local shop. I'll explain. So I feel vindicated. All the work I've done on this Jeep, there's nothing I could do about it. I brought it to a local shop. Damn it 4x4, DAM-IT, damn it 4x4, and they couldn't figure it out either. So they pulled the computer out, put it on a diagnostic computer, and the computer was just dead. Half the computer was dead. They weren't getting any signal in or out of it. It was just trashed. So they popped in a customer's computer, and the Jeep fired right up, ran great. So what we had to do was, since they don't sell new computers for this thing, they had to ship it away to get rebuilt. And then Christmas happened, and then New Year's happened, and nobody gets much done from mid-December through New Year's, so it's just now come back. I really and truly feel vindicated. I really didn't know what was going on. I was losing my mind because I couldn't figure it out. Every part I put in it, I'd go from 2 codes to 4 codes to 8 codes to 10 codes, and I just could not get this thing to run. And I felt horrible about it, but there's nothing I could have done short of putting a new computer in it. And I did look for some computers locally to try to save some money, but there were none available, and for the price they were, I did not want to get a used one for almost the price of this one that has a warranty on it. All the rest of the work I did in this thing worked. There's no check engine lights. The EGR valve is fine. Every cylinder's firing. It did great. It's doing great. I'm doing 65 miles per hour, rocking right along. So she's back. So this cost $1,100 for the replacement computer and the labor for diagnostic. Not proud of it, but nothing else I could do. It would have cost me almost that much to buy a used computer if I could have figured it out. Oh, and also they had to put a new shifter bushing in this thing because I broke it. We could not get it out of gear or get it into gear. Wouldn't come out of park to try to get it on the tow truck. Then it wouldn't run, so we had to push the damn thing out and winch it up onto the tow truck. It's rock solid. That was the only thing wrong with it. They said they put the new computer in. All the other work I did was perfect and fine. It's running great. No issues. I'm almost home with it. My daughter's mad because I made her go and take Paul, her old Dodge Durango, drive me to pick it up, and I told her I was test driving on the way home, and she is not happy about that. She wants to drive it so bad, but she's 5 minutes behind me, and then she can have it and it's all hers again. Well, that's it. Thank you for watching my greatest shame and failure. I appreciate it. Catch you soon. I'm done with this thing. I don't ever want to see it again. My daughter needs to drive it off and get it out of my sight. I am so frustrated with this thing, but Happy New Year. I hope 2026 treats you right. Have a great one.